Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about leaning out and letting go. It is a season of change for a lot of entrepreneurs, myself included. I personally have quite a bit going on, as well as it being a time of introspection in my business, which is caused by some of the time of introspection in my life. And I feel like our business and lives are always very intertwined, and that just kind of is the way that it goes. However, I think sometimes these periods of introspection can be a really interesting time to take a pause and really evaluate, are we fully living our rich, fulfilled life? Are we fully doing things in alignment with that big, bold vision that we have? Is it time to up-level our vision? Is it time to up-level our identity as the leader of our business? Is it time to up-level our identity in other facets of our life? And I think we all reach these really critical inflection points in our business journey, and we reach them many times over. And I know that this is one for me, but I'm finding that this is one for so many of the other entrepreneurs and business owners that I'm talking to. So I wonder if maybe it just so happens to be for you as well. And so I wanted to share today a little bit of some of the changes that I'm working through, because I thought hearing a little bit about those and how I'm approaching it might be helpful for you if either you're at a similar place or maybe you're helping clients or people through some of that period of change. So one of the big decisions that I've made just recently, I just made this announcement a week or two ago, is I've decided to close my jewelry business. We are just about to celebrate our 10th year anniversary as Chris Cara. It's actually been 19 years since I very first launched the business. It was originally under the name Amber Tortoise, and it's rebranded a couple times, but I've been going strong as Chris Cara for the past 10 years. And I love that business. I love designing jewelry. Being a jewelry designer is a big part of my identity. It's a big part of who I am. It's part of my creative outlet. I'm that very weird balance of right brain, left brain, super creative, yet also very structured. And it is one of the ways that I get to really express my creativity. And it's also almost a meditative process for me, the process of designing jewelry and just being in that state of pure creativity and flow and taking something that exists in my head and turning it into something in reality. And I've just enjoyed it so much for so long. But what I've found over these past few years is that I just have not simply had the space to give it the attention that it deserves. As Lean Out Method was growing pretty rapidly, and now we're in a state of scaling the business, it's really taking all of my focus. And I really try to protect my capacity. That I talk all the time about capacity-based planning, about trying to plan your day and plan what you accomplish and what you commit to in your business based on the amount that you want to work, based on the rich, fulfilled life that you want to live, based on all of those things. And I don't always do it, right? We all always have periods where sometimes we're busier than others, but I do really try to live by that and walk my talk. And the only way that I could give Chris Cara the attention that it deserves is if I worked a whole lot more than I want to work in this particular season. And as a result, I kept kind of pushing it forward, saying, well, maybe next quarter or maybe next year. And it was one of my stretch goals, multiple quarters in a row. And then it was a stretch goal for a couple years in a row. And I just finally accepted and came to the place where I realized you know what? It's simply a distraction. By keeping that business right now, I'm not giving it the attention that it deserves to truly thrive, and that it's taking attention away from lean out method where I really need to be focused. Even if I'm not putting a ton of time on it, it's still just that mental energy that goes towards it. Not to mention the fact that I have team members allocated to the business, and there's a lot that we do with inventory management and production, and product-based businesses are no joke. If you have a product-based business, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, they're great. They're wonderful. I love them in a lot of ways, but product-based business is very different than service-based businesses. Service-based businesses are a whole lot simpler. And so there really is a lot of mental space that that business has been taking up, in addition to probably more time than I'd like to admit to myself. So it was a tough decision. At the time you're listening to this, there's probably still about a week where Chris Carr is open. If you are curious and want to check out the jewelry brand or shop the closeout sale, you could go to chriscara.com, CRISCARA. We have done so many amazing things over these past 10 years. Our photos are absolutely gorgeous. The brand we built is something I'm so incredibly proud of. I just love that business so much, and I love my team that supports me in that business and the incredible people that I've gotten to collaborate with and work with. And I am really disappointed in a way to close the business, but at the same time, I feel really good about it. It's the right time. I know it's the right time. I know it's the right decision. And it was just one of those, you've got to make a decision. You can't be in this place of non-committal, which is realistically where I've been for a couple of years. Looking back and saying, yeah, well, maybe I'll get to it next year, and I just need to do this. And then, right, I feel like anytime in our business or anytime even in our lives where we find ourselves consistently saying, I will when, that's a time when you really want to pause and reflect on, really? Because if I was honest with myself a couple of years ago, I would have known that the I will when wasn't coming in the next couple of years. I've grown, I've scaled many businesses before. I know the trajectory. I know what it takes. And if I was really being honest with myself, I would have known that I would not have had the capacity that I wish that I did for it. And again, I'm just not willing to work 80, 90 hours a week anymore. I did that for a long time. I came very close to burnout. I've had all sorts of health issues. I've had all sorts of relationship implications. I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I tried that hustle your way to success approach in the early days of business, ironically, in the early days of my jewelry business. And it just is something that I will not do again. I believe that you can scale a business in a different way. And I do truly believe that we should build and live this amazing, rich, fulfilled life, and that our business should support that. It should not detract from that. And so, yeah, that's one of the big decisions that I made. I've got others. I've got some equally big and kind of life-changing decisions going on personally. Like, there's just a lot. And again, it's just so fascinating to me that everyone around me seems to be in this exact same place. And it's probably because, what we pay attention to is what we see. So maybe there's been equally as many people having gone through this for a really long time, but I didn't notice as much because I wasn't going through it myself. And now as I am, I'm noticing more and more, but it sure seems like it's on the rise. So who knows if that's true or not. But if you are in that place where maybe there's something you're holding on to, maybe it's an offer, maybe it's a service, maybe it's your entire business, maybe it's an idea that you've been having for a really long time, and you're thinking, you know what? I have to let this go. I know it's right to let it go, but how do I do this? Who am I if I let it go? If I'm not the person who sells this anymore, if I'm not the person who's known for this anymore, who am I? What am I known for? You almost feel like you lose a part of your identity when you cut something off that's that significant. But the beautiful thing is this. What that gives you is space. It gives you space for possibility. It gives you space for reinvention. It gives you space to level up in a way that you can't do when you're clinging to an old identity. Will I always be a jewelry designer? Absolutely. I'm probably going to be designing jewelry this weekend because, again, it's meditative for me. It's something I do to relax. And you know what? This is probably hard for entrepreneurs to comprehend. I'm making a joke at myself here as I say this, but just because we do something and we're good at it and we love it does not mean we need to turn it into a business. That is very much a note to myself, maybe to some of you, but I know that, it's my natural tendency is if I love something and I'm like, oh, I could do this, definitely. And I immediately want to turn it into a business, right? As an entrepreneur, as a visionary, we see opportunity everywhere. And so I'm giving myself the space to just play and to do the thing that I love purely because I love it and not because I'm trying to do it to hit a certain inventory level or hit a certain revenue level or any of those other things. And I can still love it and still have it be a piece of me, but not actually be a jewelry designer in the world who makes a big part of her living as a jewelry designer. And so where for you is that thing? Where is that identity evolution for you? And how can you sit with the decision and really just get honest with yourself about what is the change that you want to make in your business and why aren't you making it? Or what is the change that maybe you're reluctant to make, but you know if you do it, it's going to open up possibilities and opportunities. And if nothing else, it's going to open up space. And space is so incredibly valuable. Maybe you don't know what's next yet. I don't fully know what's next yet. And that's okay because I'm opening up this incredible space and it will all unfold because I'm giving myself space for possibility. And so I think you want to just look at what are those things. And this is what leaning out is all about, right? Leaning out is really all about getting rid of anything that is not helping you get to that big, bold vision and rich, fulfilled life that you want. It's anything that's not adding value to your clients and profit to your business. It's anything that's waste in any capacity, time, money, energy, whatever that is. And so there's probably a lot of things that you can lean out, from little things that you spend your time doing each day that don't serve you and that drain you, to the really big things that can feel pretty monumental and pretty hard to let go of. But boy, do they make a really big difference when you do. And so this was just a little bit of an introspective episode this time around. I feel like this is like Deep Thoughts by Krista. What was that? I don't know. That was some kind of something back in the day. Was that a Saturday Night Live clip? I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, I'm just being a little bit reflective lately as I'm going through some of these decisions. And, I think it's also spring, right? It's spring right now. If you're listening to this when the episode's released, everything's in bloom. My yard is absolutely gorgeous right now. There's just all of these beautiful flowers, and it's that really pretty yellowish green color that happens in spring. And I just love this time of year so much. It just reminds me of the possibility, the growth, the amazing beauty that's ahead. And in order for that to happen, sometimes we do need to lean out. We need to let things go. We need to let go of parts of ourselves. We need to let go of parts of our business. We need to let go of parts of our identity. We just simply need to commit to leaning out and making the tough decisions. And it opens up so much beauty and so much possibility in just a world that wouldn't be available to us if we keep clinging on to the things that are no longer going to take us where we want to go next or where we're capable of going next. So I hope you got a lot of value out of this episode. I do have something really exciting coming up. I'm so excited to tell you about. If you want to know more, I encourage you to head over to leanoutmethod.com/propel. I'm bringing back an old program. For those of you who've been around for a long time, the Lean Out Level Up Accelerator is coming back. I'm breathing new life into it. It is also going through some spring regrowth and reemergence in a whole new, more elevated way. And this is going to be a container for 90 days to get together and look at that rich, fulfilled life and big, bold vision that you have, and to really look at how you are going to get there, and specifically how you're going to get there in the next 90 days when, like a lot of people, you may be taking time off to enjoy the summer. You may be shifting your schedule. Maybe you're working a little bit less or planning some amazing vacations, or you simply want to shift your days so you're able to be outside a little bit more and enjoy the beautiful weather while you can. And it's a time where people can take their eye off the ball in their business, and they can end up, well, they may take some time for themselves, which is great. Instead of coming back into their business in fall, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated and recharged, they come back a complete and total ball of stress that stays with them through the end of the year, because they realize that, well, they were slowing down over the summer. They didn't really generate a whole lot of revenue. They have no idea what their team was working on. And then they're playing catch up and trying to hit the revenue goals that feel almost impossible at this point because they lost out on so much over summer. And so this is the time that I'm bringing this back, because I think Q3 is the most pivotal and most critical quarter of the entire year, because it sets the stage for whether or not you're going to hit your goals and revenue targets that you set for the year, and how the entire second half of your year is going to go. So it is really going to be an exciting program. It's going to be 90 days, and it's really going to make sure that you have crystal clarity on where you should be focused, what capacity you want to work, especially for summer. If you're taking time off or shifting your schedule, let's make sure that that's accounted for. Same with your team. And that you're clear on what to do to hit those goals that you have, to hit those revenue targets that you have, and to ultimately really achieve your next level vision and live out your rich, fulfilled life. So I'm really excited about it. Again, I welcome you to head over to leanoutmethod.com/propel and go ahead and check that out. And I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.